what's up, guys? Welcome to Talk of Fame podcast. So, Sydney, and on today's episode, of Talk of Fame is a little bit different from usual episodes because we have the owner of Merlin the Pig, Mina Alali. And I'm a huge pet lover, and once I came across Mina on social media, I immediately knew I had to interview her and have her as a guest. And so we're so happy to have you on and join us on the podcast. We can't wait to learn about more you and, of course, Merlin himself.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, like, were you always like a pet person? Like, especially like pigs?
I've always loved pigs for some reason. I love how cute they are. Their noses always got me. I knew I would have a pet pig one day. I just, in the back of my mind, always knew I would get one day. Didn't know when. But I just grew up with two dogs, kind of typical household, two dogs. I had a fish named Nemo, a beta fish that lived for like 6 years. But I think it was really when I got my bearded dragon Mochi, which was October 2019, that I developed such a deeper love for like all kinds of animals. I adopted Mochi on a whim from a family that really wasn't able to give him the attention and love and care that he deserved. And I grew the strongest bond with Mochi and started to train him to do a bunch of different things. And that's when I started my TikTok, and people knew and loved Mochi on TikTok. Yeah, and then just a short bit after that, I adopted two rats, and then Merlin came next. So I've kind of accumulated some more uncommon animals over the past few years. But yeah, I still now have Mochi. Unfortunately passed away from stomach cancer last August, but I did adopt another bearded dragon this year. So I have a bearded dragon, two rats, and a pig right now.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Like, did you adopt Merlin last year, right?
Yes, I adopted Merlin March 30th of 2022, and he was 2.5.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Did you see like anybody else on a pig, or did you just you just had the instant to all like just buy a pig?
I think I was on TikTok and I saw just a video of a pig, and I was at work and I turned to my coworker and I was like, I need a pig. And she was like, well, what's stopping you from getting one? And I was like, you're right. I'm living on my own. I'm financially stable. And I have the time and attention to give. So I did a bunch of research, and 2 days later I was on my way to pick up Merlin.
Oh my God, that's like literally insane. Like, how has like was it like different like than like you expected in like owning a pig?
Yes and no. Merlin is a lot like a child,
Oh.
pigs can be very dramatic and stubborn and needy. They want a lot of attention. I also showered Merlin with attention and love since day one. So I think now he's used to that and he craves that now. So people ask me all the time, would you say that having a pig is like having a dog? And I think it is a bit different because I don't leave Merlin at home for hours on end. Some people might with a dog, but I think Merlin loves to be around people. And
Mhm.
I now work from home. TikTok and social media in general is my full-time job, and so I'm constantly around him, and he comes with me everywhere. He's leash trained. He can walk. He has a harness and a leash, so I take him out on walks and everything. um but yeah, I guess I didn't expect him to be as smart as he is. He's so intelligent, and the things that he learns, the typical dog training tricks, but also other things. I've taught him to use those buttons. I'll record my voice, and he'll tell me what he wants throughout the day using these
Ooh.
buttons. So yeah, it's just amazing to see how intelligent they truly are. They're one of the smartest animals on the planet, so I guess it makes sense. But yeah, that's been awesome to see.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's like I never like anticipated like pigs will be that smart until they actually click on a button to tell you what you want. You know what I mean? So it's
Exactly.
like it's kind of like a dog similarity because like dogs and pigs, if they're trained, are very similar in a way. And like once because I see like a dog on TikTok that I literally like give its owner the thing she wants to hear in a way.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's like you just don't expect that pigs will be that smart until you own and train a pig.
right. Exactly.
And like your content on Merlin has been all over social media, especially TikTok. Like, did you expect like your content on Merlin to kind of blow up, or were you just doing it for fun and doing something each day?
Well, when I got Merlin, Mochi had been a huge part of my TikTok, and so I think I had around 7 or 800,000 followers at
Ooh.
the time. Yeah, on TikTok, but Merlin certainly helped. Because I would document pretty much everything with him, and people quickly became fans of Merlin. So now we have almost 2 million TikTok followers, and Merlin has like 150,000 Instagram followers. So
Oh.
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, people love Merlin, and I knew that they would, but I guess the growth and the fast growth, because it's only been a little over a year. I didn't expect that, but he deserves it. He's amazing.
Definitely. Like you just like especially having a following a little bit with your other animals, like it's just like you like even though you have one TikTok or social media with that other animal, it's just like are we supposed to expect people to go crazy over pigs? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you like once you make those content, like you just never anticipate like, oh, since I have a couple thousand on this page, I think I'll probably get more with Merlin since it's pig.
Right, right. And I think my channel now has people have seen bearded dragons, they've seen my rats, they've seen Merlin. So I'm kind of just like the girl with all the animals. So that's yeah, it's been fun to combine all of them, and they all really coexist in a way, which is cute too. Merlin loves my rats. He has a button that says bring out the rats, and he loves when the rats crawl on his back and kind of give him like back or tummy scratches. So I think it's cute. It's like a little animal family that I've created. And yeah, it's so amazing to see how much joy, these animals can bring to people, whether in person, if I'm walking Merlin downtown, or online.
Definitely. Like that's how like much social media has impact is that like like with pigs and rats and all these things, like you just don't think like, oh, they probably want to get along, you know what I mean? Since like you're like total different breeds. But to see like they just get along so well and everything is like it's not rare, but it's something you don't see a lot, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like, what is like Merlin's favorite like thing or food? Like, what's his like Merlin's favorite thing?
Merlin, well, he loves something that was popular on TikTok and is our Starbucks drive-throughs. He comes to the
Ooh.
drive-through with me, and we'll get a cup of ice cubes with some whipped cream or some fruit in it. And he goes crazy. He knows when we're in a drive-through, and he loves getting that treat. So that's a nice like outing we do together. But at home, he's just like really hungry for attention. He'll be pressing buttons all day long. And so he loves any kind of fruit. I love training him because I'm able to just use the food that he eats. He loves all food. So it's I can train him for, an hour straight just using little bits of the food that he eats, and it's fine. And so I think training he also enjoys because he knows that there's a treat as a reward. And
Mhm.
other than that, I mean, if I'm in bed editing a video, he'll come and he'll cuddle up next to me. So, you know, just human connection, I think he loves, and he loves getting attention from anyone.
That's how like my animals are because I have three dogs, and it's like any animal from what I see like won't resist human people giving them attention. It's just like with my dogs, I have a golden retriever, and so she's like any attention she will get, she's literally in heaven. Like she's just like any like human connection she'll get is amazing. And I'll be the same way as Merlin. He's like, I'm a big Starbucks person. So I'm like, whenever I pull up to Starbucks, I'll literally act like I'm 10 years old at a candy store. Like it's
Yeah.
like you just like can't resist it.
Right.
And like, do you like treat Merlin the same as like your other animals or like differently?
The training with Merlin is different. Bearded dragons, it definitely takes a bit longer. I think they are smart, but it takes them longer to learn tricks. So Mochi, he was able to high five, to kiss, to hug, to wait for his food come here, but that all took a really long time.
Mhm.
With Merlin, he learns things so quickly. I just taught him how to close the door.
Mhm.
which was pretty cool. You know, I'm trying to teach him more practical things. He one thing that was a little difficult, but I've started recently is just how to lie down. That's like a typical, I guess, dog training trick, but
Mhm.
I guess yeah, that was a bit tougher for Merlin. So we're mastering that right now. But Merlin will learn things within 5 to 10 minutes and buttons too. You know, I mean, with buttons, it's like I'll create one, and whenever he presses that, I do whatever it says. So if it says ice cube, I have an ice cube button. I give him my ice cube every time he presses that one. So he does learn the buttons. He has an outside button, so he can let us know when he needs to go pee or if he just wants to go outside and graze in the grass. But yeah, I think I've never I'm not like a certified trainer. I just kind of go intuitively.
Like, do you ever like watching YouTube videos on it, or you just kind of like learn as you kind of go and that type of term of things?
I've just learned as I go. And I think you know, a lot of the comments I get are like I think I have a lot of patience, you know. I have a lot of patience, and I do think animals are intelligent. And I think that it's possible to train dogs, cats, like all of these things. It's just, do you want to spend the time doing that? And I think it really pays off. And I think training also is such a great way to bond with your animal.
Mhm.
You are giving them attention, very focused, you know, attention in that moment. So it is both helpful for the animal behavior, and I also think it's strengthens the bond that you have with your animal. So I love training, you know.
I feel like it's just like, even though it can be frustrating, I feel like it's like more fun though, because like it's like you like um have something to do every single day. Because like I know
Right.
it's me, I'm like I'm always bored doing something, but it's like as a trainer, you have to be calm and be able to have a hard time in terms of training them. Like you have to kind of be in terms of relaxed and patient in terms of like training them. Because I know like a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, like they want to do whatever I'm saying, but it's like you need to actually be dedicated to actually training them.
Yes, yeah. Dedicated, undivided attention, and I think having the belief that they can learn as long as you give them the time.
Right? And like, would you like encourage people to get pigs as pets, or like would you like be against it?
I've never gotten a pig if I worked a regular 9 to 5 or if I was in school full time. I think are um much more needy than dogs. It is a lot more like a toddler than a dog. Um, so I think it's important to really be self-aware. Do I have the time? And it's like having a toddler for 15 years. You know, I have a boyfriend right now who lives with me, and he'll wake us up at 4 or 5 in the morning to be fed. I mean, it's there are definitely frustrating things and things that we have to unlearn, like that he has to unlearn. That's one of the things. I don't want him to be waking us up in the middle of the night. So it can be frustrating, and I, as a content creator and someone who has a following, I do share mostly the highlight reels, but there's a lot of things that go unseen, which are the frustrating parts. And um yeah, so it is like having a toddler, and so are you ready for that? But I think you know, if you do have the time and that love for animals and that ability to connect so deeply with one, it's super rewarding. I think pigs are incredible.
Definitely. Like it's like for a while, like when you're treating an animal, like no matter if it's like a pig, a dog, a cat, it's like it's basically like like taking care of a toddler, like you said. Because like of course, like you need to feed, you need to take them outside, you need to take them on a walk at most points, like it is kind it feels like a 9 to 5 job. Maybe not nine to
Yeah,
five, but it's like a full-time job that you feel like you should get paid for, no matter what,
exactly.
even though you do not get paid for. Because like with animals, like you said, like you literally have to wake up at least like 5 a.m. at points or even earlier to take the dog out or feed them or do whatever you need to do. It's just like it's very like frustrating because of course you want to get that sleep, but then you want to take care of that thing. You know, like it's just like
Exactly.
it's rewarding, but it's very, very frustrating. Because like when I have to get up and feed my dogs at night or something, I'm like, oh, I just want to do just watch TV.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's a job, and I think I'm careful on social media to let people know that, because pigs are so seeing videos of Merlin, he's so cute, he's so smart. Of course you're gonna have pig fever watching my videos, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it.
Definitely. Like, is it true that you can sing?
I do, yeah. Actually, before I started TikTok, singing was kind of my full-time gig. I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston. I auditioned, for singing, and I was signed with a record label for a bit. So, and now I still produce and sing. I have like 3 albums out. So I don't really
Mm.
promote that stuff because I realized like that's not what I want to do full time. I don't want to be an artist full time, but I still yeah, sing and I still love music and produce from time to time.
Like, tell us more about your music, though. I'm kind of curious. Did you like, was it more of like a kind of like a pop type of thing, or was it kind of like everything, like pop, country, rock, everything?
Yeah, it was definitely pop. I started really singing. I've always wanted to sing. Like when I was a little girl, I thought singing was the coolest thing and I wasn't good. But I think I started practicing just on my own a lot and I started producing by myself. So I on my dad's laptop, there's GarageBand and I started trying to produce myself when I was like 12 and that continued through high school. And then my mom booked a tour at Berklee College of Music in my senior year of high school. And I was like, wait, you can go to college for this? Like for my
Mm.
hobby, basically, for what I've been doing for the past 6 years. So I decided that's the only place I wanted to go. And luckily I got in and yeah, my first album that I produced and yeah, recorded everything, that was in high school. And then shortly after I was in college, I got signed to an indie record label in Sacramento. So I was with them for about 2 years and I definitely, I think, got that experience of what it would be like to be a full-time pop artist. Sang at, I've had like TV interviews and performances and gigs around the country, but I don't know. I just felt like the pop industry I felt a little toxic. It
Mm.
had a pretty big impact on my mental health. And it started to feel like, yeah, it wasn't about music anymore. It was more about my image,
Oh
which I
yeah.
didn't, want. Yeah. So I think when TikTok came around and when my TikTok started to do well, I felt really good about that because of course one of my passions is animals and it didn't really feel like I was the center of attention. It felt like I was the girl with these animals who trains them and has this bond with them, but ultimately it's like me and the animals. It's not just conceited like all about me. So yeah, I think I've always loved music. I always will love music, but just being a full-time pop artist was not what I wanted to do full time.
Yeah, like you just like as you get older, once you like go to college for it, like sometimes it's like once you go to college and you like explore that, you're like, okay, like this is not what I want to do, even though I thought I wanted to do that. And like you said, like songwriting is like in like being in this industry is very mostly toxic in a way, but it's like not the media and people don't really talk about it or really kind of show like what's going on and saying like oh, this songwriting everything is like very toxic. But it's like at some points there isn't toxic like very toxic things, but then there is a lot of toxic things, especially in this time of 2023, there's still tons and it's probably gonna get probably worse from here on out.
Yeah. I think I think, and it's really the pop industry. I think there's other genres of music and other ways that it can be it can be a good experience. But I don't know. It was just, yeah, I realized after all of it, it just felt too much about my image and not about the music anymore. And I would always just loved the emotional connection and part of music and I didn't want it to be anything other than that, and that's not
Yeah.
really the experience that I had, but still love music and I have a button from Merlin that says like sing for me mommy and he'll press that sometimes and I'll sing for him. I think he really likes when I sing. His tail wags and he's like actively listening, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I feel like you should probably just like focus on the music rather than focus on like what your image is. Because like what like I know like with a lot of people they say like, oh, don't care about what people think about you. But then like for me personally, I don't know if it's the same thing for you, but it's like you like I hate when people like think bad about me or think like very bad about me or any people that don't like me. And that's like you shouldn't worry about like what image you're setting or what like how people feel about you in that way, especially in this industry. Like this industry is very hard to be into and stuff like with toxicity, fake friends, and this like trying to get big or trying to make content. It can be very hard, but then it's like you shouldn't worry about what image you're setting. You should only care about if you actually enjoy the thing you're doing.
Right, exactly.
And like, what song do you feel is the best you can sing? Like, what's like your favorite song to sing?
I auditioned for Berkeley with Someone Like You by Adele. And
Ooh,
that was, yeah, that was kind of like a staple song that I would sing at gigs and stuff. And also like a kind of big belty version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Those were the two songs that yeah, performed the most other than my own original songs.
like I love Adele, like especially her music today. Like, I know she came out with more music. I forget the name of it, but it's like her music is like so good, and her especially her old music, like Somebody Like You and like everything. Like her music is terrific. I can go on about her music. It's just everything she just writes and comes out with is excellent.
Yes.
And like when you first started making content with Merlin, like was it difficult to get him to stay in the videos, or was it kind of hard to kind of make content with them at first, or was it kind of like very easy peasy type of thing?
It was honestly pretty easy just because most of the videos that I do with Merlin, I think, at least in the beginning, maybe not as much anymore, but they were training based. And so I'd always have treats in my hand. So, and he knew that, you know, so he would stay around me. So it was quite easy to have him stay in the video. And I think now, you know, he just wants to be around me or my boyfriend or anyone. So and I think he's gotten used to the camera. When we'll go out for walks, like people ask to take pictures of him and it's like he genuinely poses. Like I'll tell him sit with treats and then he'll kind of just like look at the camera. It's
Oh,
super cute.
really? So he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll do this if I can get a treat. Like,
Yeah, he knows he's famous. It's fine.
yeah, it's like, oh, I'm famous. This is the best thing everyone loves me type of attitude, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
And like, what is like some advice for content creators or like people that are kind of looking to get pigs as animals if like they're trying to like figure out like, oh, how am I supposed to take care of a pig at home or dad don't have a farm? Like, how do you would you like say to them if they ask?
Well, in my experience, I got Merlin when he was 2.5 months old, and I was living in an apartment. And again, I was working from home, so I was able to take him on multiple walks throughout the day, and that sufficed. That was fine, but I knew I needed to get somewhere with a backyard, and I did. I'm now in a house with a backyard, and Merlin pretty much can go outside whenever he wants. So I think it is important to have a good amount of space. I let Merlin sleep in my bed. You know, he's pigs are actually very clean animals, contrary to public opinion. But yeah, I think just like being open to learning about them. It's pigs are not accessories, you know, they are really like children. I want to emphasize that. And they have a lot of curiosity. So just having the patience and space, I guess, and the time is most important.
Mhm.
And do your research. You know, I've had people ask me who have pigs, like, what do you feed Merlin? And I'm like, well, I think that's something you should know already. And also, Google is your friend, you know? So
Mhm.
knowing what types of food they can eat and when they can eat them and how much, you know, it's easy for pigs to get overweight. They don't have fullness cues, which is kind of unfortunate. So they could literally just eat all day. But I am, you know, trying to maintain Merlin's weight and being cautious of that. There's a lot of things that, you know, go into it, just like any animal.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think just in general, being open to learning.
Exactly. Because like learning is such a big tool no matter how old you are. Like even at 16 years old, like I'm still in high school and I'm probably learning from this podcast more than I do in school. I know that might sound like what the heck is going on with these teachers? But it's like with animals and stuff, like of course everyone has their different way of feeding and taking care of those animals, and that's what Google is for. Like you said, is that like Google literally has everything you can ever think of, anything. Like whenever I think of like, oh, how much food should a bird eat? I don't know. That's like this like look up those things. It's like of course not everyone has different things they do in terms of taking care of an animal. Because like those things might not align with your goals with that animal. And plus, like you do not want to make your animals overweight and make
Right.
it unhealthy. So it's like, of course, like you have to have at least a good feeding habit or maybe a walking habit, like maybe go on a walk once or twice a day or something and stuff. Like you just have to have those set of goals to make sure that animal is healthy, like a pig. Like a pig is a normal animal. It's like even though like with taking care of a pig, you have to probably be home a lot to take a pig to take care of an
Yes.
animal like a pig because like a pig is a full responsibility that you need to be on 24/7.
I think, yeah, the biggest thing that I agree completely. And I think any animal is a big responsibility. I have two rats, right? And in general, I think rats are easy to take care of. I have a big cage for them. You can see it actually right now in the Zoom call. But I still want to make sure that their mental health is good. And so I don't keep them in the cage all day, all night. Like I let them out for playtime, and I give them that social interaction. I think the worst thing you can do is adopt, buy an animal, and just think that you'll be fine. They'll be fine if you just feed them and give them water. They need more than that.
Mhm.
They're not accessories, they're not toys. They are beings that, want to connect and have intelligence, like beyond what you might think. So yeah, and with my bearded dragon too, I'll let her out at least once a day. And I enjoy that. Like I love animals so much, so I want to connect with all of my animals, but every animal is a big responsibility.
It really is. No matter how much like you might think like, oh, this is an easy job, but it's not easy as it seems. Like I have three dogs, and it's like once I have three dogs, I'm like, okay, like I probably won't sleep ever again. Like
Yeah.
it's like when you have animals, like you have to make sure they actually walk, go outside. But it's just like you don't need just to feed or give them water. It's you have to give them that social interaction. I don't know
Yeah.
why I keep yawning, but it's like it's
Yep.
like you have to give them like that like interaction, whether it's with you or give them a walk. Like it's like do something, make sure like they're happy, not just like it's like being an
Not just
owner,
survive.
just giving them food or water. You just have to
Right.
make sure they survive and be healthy each day. That's just not with food and water.
Right.
And like I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Like your work with Merlin and everything you do is absolutely amazing. And if you ever need help with anything, feel free to reach out. And like kind of from an animal lover, like your work is absolutely amazing. And I wish you all the best and everything. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for
Thank you,
listening.
Kylie. Thank you
Of
for having
course,
me.
of course. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.